Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gershwin and you are watching OneMindSyndicate. Today we continue talking about the Eldar gods as we get into Isha. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day, and if you have any suggestions, please comment down below. If you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the Eldari goddess known as Isha. Isha is the Eldari goddess of the harvest, fertility, life, healing, and growth. She is the mother of the Eldar species in Eldari mythology. Often portrayed as a beautiful woman, the goddess is one of the three Eldar gods of old, still alive and said to be aiding the dying Eldar as best she can. It is because of Isha that the Eldar race possesses the Spirit Stones, the precious gems worn by the Eldari to protect their souls from she who thirsts upon their death. These stones are said to have been crafted from Isha's tears, so that the gods and mortals would be able to communicate with each other through the barriers erected between the immaterium and real space, a separation created by one of the most powerful of the Eldar gods, Azurian. One of these stones was given to Isha, and the rest were handed over to the Eldari so that their prayers might be heard. When Azurin learned that his directive that the gods were to have no further contact with mortals had been violated, he gave Isha and her husband, Coronus, the god of the hunt, to Cain, the god of war, to do with as he wished. Cain tortured the two of them in a burning pit until Vol, the Eldari god of crafting, who was Isha and Coronus's uncle, was moved by their plight, and so struck a bargain with the war god to craft 100 enchanted swords, known as the Blades of Vol, for him in 1 year's time. In exchange, Cain promised to release his fellow gods from his prison. The smith god worked long and hard at this task, and managed to forge all of the blades by the deadline, except for one, the last one, which laid unfinished on his anvil. In order to trick Cain, Vol substituted the last blade with a mortal one, which he delivered to the war god, who released his two captives. The three gods then quickly departed. But Cain was quick to discover the trickery and cried out in rage. He called the smith god a cheat and vowed revenge. He immediately set off to track Vol down and make him pay. The conflict that followed, known as the War in Heaven, polarized the gods, as Cain's factions and Vol's factions engaged in bloody warfare for eternity. Gods exchanged sides. Great deeds of heroism and of terrible evil were performed by both factions. The war was mirrored in an internecine struggle between the Eldari and the mortal realm. Azurin himself never took a side, watching the carnage impassively, slowly coming to regret the sentencing of Isha and Coronus to Cain's tender mercies. Vol reforged the final sword, the one that he failed to finish for Cain, the greatest of all. He called it Anaris. Armed with this weapon, Vol strode forth into battle with Cain. It was a long, hard-fought struggle, but even with Anaris, Vol was no match for the war god. Cain cast down Vol, maiming the smith and bounding Vol to his own anvil. However, the consort of the great hawk who had fought for Vol, known as the Falcon, Falshu, took the sword Anaris and delivered it to Eldanesh, the greatest warrior and leader of the mortal Eldari. With Anaris in hand, Eldanesh of the Red Moon took up the fight and faced Cain in single combat. Eldanesh fought well, but in the end, he too was defeated by Cain, his body crushed by the god of war. As Cain slew Eldanesh, his hand began to drip with red blood. Forever after, he would become known as Caleb Mensha Cain, which means Cain the Bloody-Handed in the Eldari lexicon. By this time, Azurin, the greatest of the Eldari gods, had seen enough of the slaughter and proclaimed the war in heaven over. Cain had gained his vengeance and left the field satisfied. Isha's misfortune would continue many millennia later, during the fall of the Eldar, when Slaanesh took her prisoner rather than absorbing her energies outright like she did the rest of the Eldari pantheon. What fell purpose Slaanesh had in keeping Isha alive, none amongst the Eldari know, but the Prince of Pleasure was ultimately denied its spoils. For some reason, Nurgle, the Plague Lord, waged war against Slaanesh to rescue the Eldari goddess. Why Grandfather Nurgle intervened is unclear, although some Eldari savants believe that one of the oldest of the major Chaos gods wanted to give the youngest amongst them a good lesson about his proper place in the order of things. What is known is that Nurgle's demonic forces proved victorious, and he took the Eldari goddess back to his domain in the realm of chaos. A goddess of rejuvenation and a god of decay seem at odd pairing, but Nurgle came to adore his new companion like no other being in the universe. However, he shows his love in the only way that the Chaos Gods know how. Nurgle keeps Isha imprisoned in a rusted cage within his personal mansion in the corner of the Play Garden. It is there that he keeps the cauldrons where he mixes the elements that create all of his plagues and pestilences. Nurgle tests all of these new, virulent creations upon the body of his most favorite companion. As the goddess of healing and the spiritual embodiment of health and growth, Isha can cure herself of these afflictions, but the Plague God gains an idea of their potency by watching how much power the Eldari goddess must expend to cure herself. If he is pleased with how hard Isha must struggle to conquer the disease, Nurgle releases the new creation upon some unsuspecting world. But if not, he starts over, working at his cauldron until he has something new to give to his companion. Isha accepts her lot stoically and fights back against the Plague God's evil in the same way she once fought against Cain, whispering the cures of these new diseases into the universe so that the mortals might know them and resist the hideous design of Grandfather Nurgle. In recent times, information acquired by the Imperium implies that Isha and the rest of the Eldari gods may have been members of the first sentient species in the galaxy, known to the Eldari as the Ancients and the Imperium as the Old Ones, who were the creators of the Eldari and many of the other intelligent species of the galaxy. If this theory is true, then Isha was once a mortal creature. She could have been one of the most important scientists and creators of the sentient creatures used to fight in the war in heaven, explaining why the Eldar view her as the mother of their species and the goddess of life. Through time, the Eldar, along with many of the other sentient life forms she and the Old Ones created, could have started to worship her as a god, similar in the way that the Imperium worships the Emperor now. This worship could have elevated her to the status of a warp god, or a manifestation of her could have been created in the Immaterium by the psychically powerful warrior races who continued to venerate her even after her death and the end of the war in heaven. This would explain why Isha understands the biological workings of all species, and she understands how to cure the diseases created by Nurgle. Every creature inflicted with illness is her creation, as she cracked the code of biological life during her mortal existence. And now, with her godlike powers, Isha continues to guard over her creatures. There are still others in the Imperium who simply believe that the Eldar gods are nothing more than singular expressions of their species' cultural and psychological needs. Their existence was never real, and the story of Isha is simply a mythological story created by ancient Eldar to explain life, healing, and growth. And those were 40 facts on Isha. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, share it with your friends, and thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. It's $1 a month, and like I say, if you can't support us on Patreon, liking, commenting, sharing really helps out the channel. So thank you ahead of time. Isha is one of those Eldar gods, or one of those characters in Warhammer 40K that has a really cool backstory, and we wish that GW would do more with it. But I mean, we have a whole new god, and nobody seems to be playing that god. So even if Isha was around, would we even play, or would Eldar players even play with Isha? Comment down in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think of the latest. And by latest, I mean like a year ago, or 2 years ago maybe, the other Eldar god. It seems that either there's no interest within the Eldar community of players to play that god, or it just seems like it's just not strong enough. I don't know. Comment down in the comment section below. I'm not an Eldar player. If you guys have suggestions for other topics, also comment down below. We read that every single day. And thanks for listening, guys. I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with OneMindSyndicate signing out.